is the weirdest place to feel another person?
Loughborough?
Yeah.
Why Loughborough?
I don't know.
I was going to say Salford.
Bognor Regis.
Is it on your body? Is it beginning with a P? Is it perineum?
Oh. No, but,
OK.
I like your workings.
I love that you didn't wait for the answer to any of those questions. We really saw the thought process the whole way through.
From a doctor's point of view, it's probably the middle of your gut, because that would suggest that you've gone too far.
One way or the other, you've gone too far.
Very unpleasant.
Could you go in both ends? Like, you know when you're building...
I like when they met at the Channel Tunnel halfway.
When you're on the beach and you're building a sandcastle and you put a tunnel in.
Where would you meet in the body if you did that? That's a curious question.
If two people met hand in hand in the middle of me,
yeah,
would I definitely have to die? Or could I survive that?
I don't know, but your GP would definitely be struck on.
OK, so the weirdest place to feel another person, for example, would be on Mount Everest or on an expedition. It's something called third man syndrome, and it is the sensation of the presence of an extra unseen person. So the weirdest place you might feel another person is when there's actually nobody there. It happens in extreme situations. The most vivid are experienced by adventurers. In 1933, there was a solo attempt to climb Everest by a British explorer called Frank Smythe, and he got within 1,000 feet of the top. And he had the strongest sensation that somebody was with him, so strong that he broke off a piece of, I don't know, Kendal mint cake or whatever it was, and he handed it, or tried to hand it, to this other person.
It's probably the bloke holding the camera.
But Ernest Shackleton reported exactly the same sensation in his book.
That's really weird.
South. He says, during that long and racking march of 36 hours over the unnamed mountains and glaciers of South Georgia, it seemed to me often that we were 4 and not 3. So there was a sensation of there being somebody else along. And I don't know if you know T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland. It's in there. It's inspired by Shackleton's experience. Who is the third who walks always beside you? When I count, there are only you and I together, but when I look ahead up the white road, there is always another one walking beside you.
A Gandalf.
Shaft.
It did feel a bit karaoke, that,
Yeah, yeah. T.S. Eliot karaoke. I want to do. Who is the third who walks always beside you?
Only you and I together!
But when I look ahead
Up the white road!
there's always another walking beside you.
Which part of the body did Painless Parker specialise in pulling?
I'm not saying penis again.
Painless Parker, what do you think? He did some pulling.
With pulling, it makes you think of teeth.
Yes, you're exactly right. He was America's only ever dentist come ringmaster. Don't you love this?
Yes.
I think he looks a bit like Stephen Fry.
With no teeth.
Yeah. So, his very first business plan, a very simple technique, ply patients with cocaine before pulling their teeth out. Or sometimes he would use a tumbler of whiskey. But he thought this wasn't enough, because he did about 6 weeks and he hadn't had a patient, and he thought he would promote himself. So he got a sort of a horse-drawn flatbed with a dentist chair on it, and he charged 50 cents per extraction, and you got given $5 if it hurt. OK? So he wore a top hat and tails and a necklace made of teeth. Eventually he had a live audience, a brass band, contortionists and dancing women, and he would sometimes enter on an elephant throwing coins to the ground, and the brass band was there to drown out the cries of the patients.
I'm thoroughly involved in a lawsuit because I woke up at my dentist wearing clothes that weren't mine. I went in as a working-class gentleman and left as a toff, and my horse and trap was not to be found.
This is a tremendous worry to me.
Well, it is, but now I've got the backstory.
Yes,
I've got something to talk.
Yeah. So before forceps, people used to have their teeth removed by something called a dental pelican. That's what it looks like.
Oh, it sounded nicer than that.
Yeah.
It sounded like a...
But they didn't have a dentist chair, so the patient had to sit on a low seat with their head between the dentist's thighs. Yeah.
Well, like looking upwards at them.
Yeah. According to the latest research, the average person has 5 secrets which they've never told to a living soul. So I'd like tonight to hear one of yours, please.
You're looking at me.
I was, darling, but I think you've given enough.
I'll give you all 5.
OK, go.
Where I keep my keys.
Yes.
And 4 murders.
I was once walking home across Hampstead Heath and I got caught short and I had to do a poo under some leaves.
Did you have to do that 5 times?
I think 4 other secret poos I've done, probably.
Sorry, so let's just retrace our steps.
Yeah.
So you're crossing Hampstead Heath, trousers down.
No, I didn't have my trousers down till I needed to go.
He doesn't walk round with his trousers down, do you?
But then as I went to pull my trousers up, I slipped over and it...
Excuse me, sorry. Have you not been mocking me?
Not mocking you, I've been sympathetic.
No, you haven't. And you've shat in a bush. Did you have any paper with you?
No, I used some leaves, and that's what I slipped on. And my glasses fell off. I had to go home. And when I got home, I couldn't properly see my house. I thought, where am I going? My glasses have fallen off. And I had to go back and look for them.
How drunk were you?
It was pretty bad.
Bit steamy. The Columbia Business School, it was a study, they used 38 categories of secrets. So there's all the normal ones that you might have, you know, stealing, cheating, fancying somebody that you shouldn't fancy and that stuff. But they also had some odd choices. So a secret opinion, not liking something that people think that you like, planning a surprise for somebody, a secret hobby. And they asked 2,000 participants if they had any of those kind of secrets.
Oh, I didn't really realise those were the parameters. I thought...
Oh, no.
Totally humiliating event. I didn't realise, like, a secret opinion.
I like yours as a benchmark. I think it's very...
Oh, he didn't on the bench as well, did he?
Oh, this is so controversial. If you're making a cuppa, does the milk... I know.
Oh, gasp! An audible gasp!
Does it go in first or second? Oh, and did I ask you? OK, not everybody agrees. First or second? Second. First? Some people shouting first? OK. The trouble is that there is no correct answer. That is the point. Yet opinion is so unbelievably strongly divided, but the British Standards Institution has a 5,000-word report on the correct way to make tea.
Which you are going to read out to us now.
I'm going to praise it for you.
OK.
That's like when they dramatise the Levinson inquiry or something
is.
like that. It's going to be like...
We're going to do an interpretive dance.
OK. Here is the definitive thing from them. They say milk should go in first. Oh, I know, it's very upsetting for some people. And they also say you should have 2 grams of tea per 100 ml of water, and it should be brewed for 6 minutes and served at a temperature between 60 and 85. Milk first, a 2003 experiment at Loughborough University found that adding milk after the water can heat it unevenly, and that leads to the protein in the milk clumping. But Yorkshire tea says milk second, particularly if you're brewing in a mug. Then you should brew the tea first, otherwise the milk will drag down the temperature of the water.
If the tea bag's in the cup, you can't put milk until it's brewed.
That is the thing.
That'd be stupid.
Yeah, so the milk has to go in second. Yeah. But that debate, they're called MIFers. Milk in first and TIFers, tea in first. OK. Which people in this studio should we replace with pigeons?
Like a carrier? Like a person who brings you, like a PA?
Oh, like a sort of runner person who brings
Yeah.
you things? Like a carrier pigeon? I love this. No. So the answer is the camera operators. So here's the thing. Birds can't move their eyes. Their necks have been designed to keep their heads completely still when they move. So as they walk, if you look at them, their heads and their eyes move forward, and then they lock into place, and then the body catches up with them, and then the head darts forward again, locks onto something new, and the pigeon keeps going. And that static image is what a good camera operator is trying to achieve. And pigeons have been used since the early 20th century as aerial photographers. The very first person to attach a camera to a pigeon, he was a German called Julius Neubrunner, and he started receiving prescriptions from a sanatorium in nearby Falkenstein using pigeon post. And he used to deliver medications back by post, and he thought this was marvellous. So he got some pigeons of his own, and then one of his birds came back rather mysteriously fed, and he attached a camera because he wanted to find out where it had been fed. It turned out it was visiting a restaurant on the way in a neighbouring town. Now, what?
Just the elaborate web of bullshit this show constantly.
How's it work in the camera? Because if it's got the camera and it's flying with one wing, it's just going to go round and round.
Yeah, it's not actually working the camera, if you can imagine. No. So it's two chambers. It's two chambers, Alan, and one of them has got gas in it, and that releases very slowly as the pigeon flies, and then that would depress the shutter button. You only get one picture, you don't get lots and lots.
You get one?
It's not like the pigeon's going, hey, smile, everybody, here we go, hey, coming at you from the...
for a closer look.
Yeah, no. Pigeons are perfect camera people, so it's only a matter of time before they put our team out of work. What's the...
You're going to be out of focus for months.
It's black and white and pissed all over.
A penguin that got into a pirate's stash of rum.
Seriously, that was impressive. No, OK, so it is the giant panda. So in order to introduce giant panda cubs into the wild, the researchers at China's Wolong Nature Reserve, they dressed as adult pandas and they covered themselves in panda pee. Why might they do that?
Because they're perverts. Watching panda porn all night. Which is a very slow watch, I have to say.
Nothing to do with settling the young ones in the wild, is it?
Yes. Here's the thing about the pandas. They look very cute, but let's remember the bear part of their name.
Yeah.
They are still aggressive, and you don't want them to go into villages and go, oh, those nice people. So they wanted them to feel that they were with actual pandas, and the way to do that is to cover them in the panda urine so they don't smell of human beings. The extent to which it's related to the red panda, that's been debated backwards and forwards, but it isn't really. The giant panda is a bear. The red panda is closer to a raccoon. But they have recently discovered why they've got black and white fur.
Oh.
The black bits help to camouflage them in the summer, and the white bits help to camouflage them in the winter. And it was discovered by a guy called Tim Carrow. He's a University of California biologist. And he's the same researcher who spent 10 years working out why zebras are black and white.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's probably to deter flies, who, for some reason that is unclear, do not like landing on striped surfaces. Oh, no, I'm not going down there. Yeah.
I've been to Africa and I saw plenty of flies around the zebras.
Yes, but they don't land.
Oh, they don't
Yeah,
land.
they spin around going, has anybody seen a horse, a plain horse? I don't
It's another thing, if you take a zebra to a supermarket and you fire a barcode gun at it, it says zebra.
Let's practice a little German. What type of animal is a Stachelschwein?
Oh.
Yes? You can't think at me. OK, so not that one. What about a Wasserschwein?
Is it like a water vole?
Heading in the right direction. What about a Schweinsfowl?
These are all sausages.
It's not a walrus or something, is it?
No, what about a Nabelschwein?
Oh, they're all related, though, right?
No, they're not related at all.
Why do they keep using that word?
Let's go back. Stachelschwein, or spike pig, is a porcupine. A Wasserschwein, or a water pig, is the capybara. There it is there in the middle.
Okay.
And a Schweinsfowl, or pig whale, is a porpoise. So I love capybaras. I don't know if you've ever seen them. They're amazing. Largest rodent in the world. Yeah. They grow to be about 4 foot long, and there's a special Easter feast in Venezuela, and they eat it like turkey at Thanksgiving. Apparently it tastes a bit like rabbit.
It's like a big version of a guinea pig?
Yes, like a massive version, yeah. But you eat it at Easter.
I've been to Peru, and I've eaten guinea pig.
Oh, how was it?
In Lima, Peru, there's 3 of the top 50 restaurants in the world happen to all be in Lima. And it's really like a national, like everyone eats it. Even in these 3 Michelin star restaurants, they make the best guinea pig. And I had a guinea pig as a child, as a pet. So I tried it twice, and I got to the 3rd time, and I just was like, I can't do it.
Yeah, they sell them in Chile anyway on sticks covered in honey. And there's kids at the moment who've been allowed to stay up and watch this who are sobbing their heart out.
Some of them are dipping a guinea pig in.
I know.
Holding it in front of the fire.
How long is it going to take?
No, the best way to cook it would be to put it in the wheel in front of the fire and have it...
And then go,
Run faster! I want you well basted.
A Nabelschwein is actually what's known as a peccary. It's a distant relative of the pig, and again, you'll find those South and Central America. The German phrase, which I really like, innerer Schweinhund, and it literally means your inner pig dog. And it's the tiny voice that says to you, stay on the sofa, don't go to the gym. Oh. Here's a weird question. Why might you put chili in a condom?
Revenge.
It's to do with elephants. So
What? This question gets weirder.
Says it's to stimulate elephants.
It's quite the opposite. Elephants have the most acute sense of smell of any mammal, and they hate the smell of chili. So Tanzanian farmers want to keep them away from their land, and they've tried all sorts of things. Elephants are so clever. They've tried putting bells around their necks, and the elephant, within 24 hours, was packing the bell with their own dung to stop it ringing.
Oh, my God.
But if you put chili in a condom and attach a firework to it and throw it at an elephant, it explodes in a great cloud of spicy powder. The elephant hates it and goes away, but it's not harmed.
Wow.
So putting chili in a condom is a very good way to get rid of them off your land.
Ah, but if that elephant was very clever, he'd come up the next day with a gas mask.
I think you've got to question your life a little bit when you're putting chili in condoms and throwing them at elephants. Just a little bit of you is going,
yeah.
What happened?
Sorry, Sandy. What's an elephant's gas mask going to be like, for God's sake? Do they have to coil the whole trunk up? Is it on the end of the trunk, the gas mask?
First question. Complete this sentence. Donald Trump is the first president in 168 years not to have...
Oh. Come on, anyone.
Not to have what?
A trace of common decency.
Empathy.
Empathy.
Charm.
Charm.
I think
Anybody?
these are all too obvious. I'm
Yeah.
going to go with not to have the ability to pee standing up.
Wow.
So, since 1850?
Washington?
Since 1850. What happened in 1850?
Coronation Street started.
It's all the whole show is about.
Oh, pet animals. Pet.
Pets.
Pet?
He's the first president not to have a pet in the White House.
He's got Melania.
They all had pets. Thomas Jefferson had 2 bear cubs. Benjamin Harrison had 2 opossums called Mr. Reciprocity and Mr. Protection. What? Franklin D. Roosevelt had a Great Dane, rather confusingly called President. Robert Hoover's son, Alan, had a pair of alligators. Teddy Roosevelt, I think, gets the prize for best presidential pet owner. 9 dogs, 2 ponies, 2 cats, a hen, a lizard, a blue macaw, a garter snake named Emily Spinach, named by his daughter Alice because it's as green as spinach and as thin as my Aunt Emily. A small bear, a piebald rat, a pig, a rabbit, a laughing hyena, a barn owl, a one-legged rooster and 5 guinea pigs. He also had 6 children, which seems a lot, and a badger called Josiah. He also had the pony called Algonquin, who was so beloved by the president's son, Archie, that when he was sick in bed, his brothers Kermit Kermit and Quentin brought the pony up in the lift.
Who'll bring the pony up to the room now? Who'll give up your pony?
I don't think Mother would allow that.
In 1940, Franklin D. Roosevelt was given a Scottish Terrier puppy that he named Murray the Outlaw of Fala Hill after one of his Scottish ancestors, and it was known as Fala, and it travelled everywhere with the president. He became a celebrity in his own right. He had his own secretary to answer fan mail. That's him there with the genius Eleanor Roosevelt, who really was the power behind the throne in that particular presidency. During the Battle of the Bulge, that's the last sort of big German offensive in the Second World War, the American soldiers used to ask each other the name of the president's dog, and if you got the answer Fala, then you knew it probably wasn't a German who was masquerading as an American. Donald Trump is the first president of the United States to steer clear of any petting in the White House.
Oh.
I'm just going to let that live in the air for a minute. Now, I've got some packed lunches for you here. Rachel, that's for you, darling. You're going to have a Cornish pasty.
Yes.
Richard, you've got ham sandwiches. Ramesh, you've got a toast sandwich. That's for you. I'll be honest, Alan, yours looks a little tiny bit mouldy. So, what quite interesting thing can you tell me about your snacks, Richard? Ham sandwiches.
In nature,
yes,
they're the only thing that grows in triangles.
Well, here's the extraordinary thing. So, 1851, we know from a census that 436,800 sandwiches were sold on the streets of London, and they were all ham. Every single one.
They didn't sell any other sandwich?
They just sold ham sandwiches. Do you know who invented the pre-packaged sandwich?
Would it be a Joe Lyons tea shop?
No, it's much more recent than you might imagine. It's M&S.
M&S?
Yes, 1980.
Wow.
Apparently an assistant wrapped up some leftover sandwiches from the cafe and put them out for sale, and then it took off.
This is like a freestyle, innit? Just go for it.
Just thought, just go for it and sell them. So the most popular ones, egg mayonnaise, BLT and chicken salad. Those are the ones that make all the money.
All morally corrupt, those sandwiches, just so you know. All right, my vegan brothers and sisters.
Ramesh, let's have a look at your toast sandwich. What have you got in it? Did you rip it like that? Did you just open the bag? We could have reused it. What is wrong with you?
Well, it's got my name on it. It's very unlikely you're going to have another Ramesh on this. Or even me, based on how this is going.
Tell us what's in your sandwich.
So my sandwich has toast in it?
Yes, it is literally a toast sandwich.
Yes, and I can give you a fact about this.
Go on, then.
One day, Ramesh Ranganathan was given this on QI and was very insulted. So there's...
OK, so this is an historic sandwich. So Mrs. Beeton, the great Mrs. Beeton, her book of household management in 1861, she had a recipe for a toast sandwich. It was a piece of toast seasoned with salt and pepper and served between 2 slices of bread.
Wow. I mean, in many ways, she didn't need to write that down.
No, no. She says this sandwich would be very tempting to the appetite of an invalid.
I've got to tell you, it's delicious.
Is it good? Toast sandwich.
That's a good idea. Like, it's all about texture, isn't it? And I bet that's got a lovely texture to it.
Big up Mrs. Beeton. She's absolutely smashed it. No.
Rachel, Cornish pasty. What do we know about the Cornish pasty?
Well, this bit is where you hold it.
Yes.
That's called the handle.
Yes.
Famously. Or in the other parts of the south, they call it the edge.
And why was it created?
For miners.
Absolutely right. It was a portable lunch, basically, to take down the mines. You're absolutely right.
Is it true that in those pasties...
Yeah.
They put the pudding in the pasty as well?
Yeah, so it was perfectly possible to have the savoury bit one end and the sweet bit the other end. So you can see one there which has got a bit of savoury and a bit of
So is that
sweet.
a pastry barrier? Have they put a barrier in?
A little pastry barrier.
Because if they didn't have enough pastry, slam a bit of toast in there. That would do the same job.
It's not the only one that does that, actually, Ramesh. There's a thing called a Bedfordshire clanger, which looks more like a long sausage roll. And again, it's 2/3 savoury and 1/3 sweet.
They did that on the bake-off.
Did they? I didn't see. Can I just say, and this is, we should whisper this if anybody in Cornwall is listening, but the oldest Cornish pasty recipe comes from Devon.
Oh. But also, did you hear that, Cornwall? You didn't even come up with a pasty, losers.
The Devon one is from 1510. The Cornish oldest one is from 1746. You're enjoying that toast?
It's just, you think it's going to be boring,
Yeah.
but the middle bread just tastes so different from the other two pieces.
You've really gone full circle on it.
Honestly, I think it might be the best thing I've ever eaten.
Well, you're a vegan, so I'm not surprised.
I just remembered I know a thing.
Oh,
about
wow.
Cornish pasties.
OK.
That picture reminded me.
Yes.
Those ones where it's all...
The crimping?
The crimping, I was going to say... Well,
I have all the baking terms that you need.
yes, it's just going to be that it's called crimping.
Right, Alan's eaten his sandwich. I said it was mouldy, but this is actually a rather brilliant thing. This is a mouldy anti-theft sandwich bag. So the sandwich is not mouldy at all. The idea is to stop people nicking it out the fridge.
Didn't work with Alan.
No, clearly not.
Do you want the rest of your toast sandwich now, Ron?
I will eat it.
Did you actually like it, Ramesh?
I did. I mean, I feel nervous about saying it because I'm being persecuted as a vegan on this show, but it tasted all right.
I didn't know you're a vegan. You should mention it occasionally.
Should we celebrate Procrastination Week?
Well, you could do... I mean, I would say...
I need to clean my house, so after that...
After that, yeah. It is celebrated every year by the Philadelphia-based Procrastinators Club of America. It takes place at slightly different times each year. Usually the first couple of weeks in March. Depends, you know, how long it gets put off for. The club was formed in 1956. It's $20 membership if you're interested. This buys you a license to procrastinate and access to the monthly publication called Last Month's Newsletter. Lists upcoming events that have already taken place. They celebrate Christmas in June, the 4th of July in January, and they have a Be Late for Something Day on September the 5th. Their motto is Behind You All the Way. In 1966, they went on a bus tour brandishing a banner, Excursion to the New York World Fair, which had closed a year and a half earlier. And they recently ran a campaign to get the late President James Buchanan re-elected. He died in 1868. But there are lots of famous procrastinators. The playwright, this is one of my favourite, Richard Sheridan, who wrote School for Scandal, he finished writing it as it was being performed on the opening night in 1777, bringing down lines to the actors as they were on the stage. That is quite late.
That is leaving it a bit late.
Where does it come from? I really suffer from it. I just always clean the house or do whatever it is. Where does it come from in the brain, or why do we do it?
Well, it's interesting because lots of people suffer terrible shame and anxiety about it. And one of the things that they now think is that they're often perfectionists. They find it psychologically more acceptable never to tackle the task rather than to face the possibility of falling
Try and
short.
fail.
Yeah, you don't want to fall short on performance. They have looked into ways to try and improve people's habits on this. So they did a report on the effectiveness of internet-based cognitive behavioural therapy in improving procrastination behaviour. And the main problem with the study was that people kept putting off doing the treatment. Leonardo da Vinci, so ultimate Renaissance man, he took 25 years to finish The Virgin of the Rocks.
Is that a painting or is that an actual woman?
It's the one in the Louvre. There's another one in the National Gallery. The Mona Lisa took 15 years. He lived to be 67. He actually only completed 15 paintings and a handful of architectural designs. The patrons going mad had to call in other people to come and finish. I have to say, this is absolutely true. We wrote to the Procrastinators Club because we were doing this question and they haven't got back to us. What's this man's official title?
Is it the Pope? Head of the Catholic Church?
Yeah, it's not his official title. So we rang, I love this, we rang the Papal Nunciature. Guess where they are located?
Lowestoft.
Wimbledon. And the spokesman translated the Pope's titles from the Vatican's official directory. They are Bishop of Rome, Vicar of Jesus Christ, Successor of the Prince of the Apostles, Supreme Pontiff of the Universal Church, Primate of Italy, Archbishop and Metropolitan of the Roman Province, Sovereign of the State of Vatican City, Servant of the Servants of God, but not Pope.
Try fitting that on a name badge.
I know. It's a colloquial term from the Italian papa, so it's a style rather than an official title.
Why do you think those guys all around the back are looking in the air?
Because their hats haven't
And
landed
the Pope's
yet.
looking forward.
My hat came first!
Supplementary question, is the Pope Catholic? I mean, literally, is the Pope a Roman Catholic?
He's a Roman Catholic. Yes.
Because the Pope, that is, this man, is not called the Pope, then he is a Roman Catholic, this one is a Roman Catholic, but the actual Pope is the Pope of the Coptic Orthodox Church of Alexandria, and his official title is Pope of Alexandria and Patriarch of all Africa on the Holy See of St. Mark the Apostle. So he is definitely the Pope, but he isn't a Catholic. He's the Pope of the Coptic Orthodox Church. So the Pope, the man whose actual title is the Pope, isn't a Catholic. The Pope isn't officially called the Pope, and the man who actually is the Pope isn't a Catholic.
Clear?
Yeah. Let's go to Italy. So what did they do in Italy to stop people eating their lunches as picnics? So have a look here. This is, of course, the gorgeous Basilica of Santa Croce.
You don't want people having a picnic on the steps, do you?
No, I mean, what they want is for you to respect the place. This particular building is the place where you will find the burial place of Michelangelo, Galileo, Machiavelli, Rossini. It's like all this greatness of Italy, and they don't want people just eating sandwiches on the steps. So they had a really simple idea how to stop them doing this.
Was it they get the spooky voices of all those dead people
Go
on the
away.
loudspeaker?
Go away.
Stop eating sandwiches.
Hey, this is a Michelangelo. I see you enjoying the sandwich.
Why are you ruining the steps with your sandwich? You need to stop.
It's me, Rossini.
Stop it, you're going to be crazy angry when you're eating a sandwich on the steppers.
None of these are spooky enough voices.
No.
Johnny.
Don't you want to see a film where Ramesh plays Michelangelo?
I'm going to do a ceiling a picture.
This one is a god. This one is the Jesus. That one. He's good, huh?
Well, they did a really simple thing. They hosed down the steps.
Why are you having a picnic?
To stop people, they simply washed the steps.
With water?
With water. And it stopped people from sitting down because you...
Because they're wet.
Because they're wet. And they're very concerned about their buildings. Has anybody been to the Trevi Fountain in Rome?
Mm-hmm.
They have a whole squad of volunteer retired police officers guarding it because apparently people like to swim in it. So you can be fined for sitting on the fountains, for washing your feet in them, letting your pets play, water fights.
Thus far, I'm still hearing you can have a wee, no problem.
Yeah.
I went to Florence and I saw, by some miracle, there wasn't a queue, Michelangelo's statue of David.
It's a great statue.
It's amazing. You can look all the way round behind. You're right behind, see everything.
It's got massive hands and tiny winky. That's how we do it. I tell you who it is.
It's Rossini, don't tell anyone.
But what I was going to say was...
No, I think they've got more to do.
There's a replica of it outside.
Right.
And honestly, you can't tell the difference.
No.
So don't bother queuing up. Going
I agree with that. Right. Back to the great outdoors now. Here's a question about pests. What is the best way to keep those pesky wasps at bay?
A jar of something that they like, and then they go to it.
To kill them or to just trap
Well,
them?
if they get stuck in there, not much you can do.
Wasp gun? I don't know.
A wasp gun is a gun that fires wasps, isn't it? You're just adding to the problem, aren't you? Just generating more and more of them.
Fires them a long way away, Ramesh.
Makes them angry, though, and when they come back... It's like that joke about the bloke who throws a snail off his front step. And then 3 days later, the doorbell goes. And the snail goes, what?
So, the best way to keep a wasp away from the picnic, they send out scouts, the wasps, to go and see where the best food is. If you see the first couple, take them hostage.
Oh, OK.
Yeah. If you trap them, they cannot report back to the nest about the food source, but if you kill them, they can release a pheromone, and the other wasps go, what? What's going on? What's going on? They get the pheromone.
Yeah,
smell.
they go, can anyone else smell Dave?
Yeah. But you shouldn't kill wasps at all.
That's really good. So
they-
just keep them, catch them, and that's it.
Because they do some fantastic good work.
Do they?
Yeah,
yes.
I doubt that very much.
I hate them.
OK, so here's the thing that you may not know. So social wasps eat cockroaches and spiders. There is a woman whose Twitter handle is @waspwoman, Dr. Serian Sumner. She estimates they eat 14 million kilograms of insects per year in the UK.
Each?
No, not each. No. As a team effort.
Oh, OK.
Yeah. After Great Britain and Ireland, what is the third most populous island in the British Isles?
I know that you could get everybody in the world on the Isle of Wight and it would sink.
That is not the answer that I'm looking for. The Isle of Wight, in fact, would come fourth. I'm looking for the one that would come third. I'm looking for the most populous island. Yes.
Man?
Now, the man is not right. No.
Is it going to be somewhere far off?
No, it's not even far from the studio, actually. You could get there...
Oh,
Isle of
ew.
Dogs. No.
I'm in Indonesia!
I was going to say you could get there in about an hour and a quarter on the train.
Isle of Thanet.
It's Portsea Island. It is where the city of Portsmouth lies. The island of Portsea has the highest population density of any of the UK's islands. In fact, Portsmouth is the only island city in the whole of the UK.
It's a complete island, is it?
Yeah. And it was one of the most heavily defended cities in the world during the Napoleonic Wars. And it was the world's first mass production line. The Royal Navy made... pulley blocks were made there by, in fact, Mark Isambard Brunel. Isambard, Kingdom Brunel's father. The other thing they pioneered was free venereal disease clinics.
Why would you pay for venereal disease? Oh, to the...
No, yeah.
I've paid for venereal disease.
Well, let's all let that settle in for a minute.
That's what the doctor said. It sort of works for the joke.
The idea that they'd say, I'd just let it settle in.
Let that settle in if I were you.
That's there for the winter.
Yeah.
Let it settle in.
Here's a gorgeous painting by Turner. Where is this? Yes.
So Indonesia.
I'll give you a clue. Here are two paintings. I'll give you the titles if this helps. One is called Festive Lagoon Scene, Venice, and the other one's called Procession of Boats with Distant Smoke, Venice.
Is it Portsmouth?
Yes, it is Portsmouth. You're absolutely right.
Are you serious?
They were wrongly titled in the 1960s when they were exhibited in New York. They had nothing to do with Venice or
You
whatsoever.
said it as a joke.
Yes.
No, I just done an expert on Turner.
So annoying. If he had painted them in Indonesia, I would have been laughing now.
No, you're totally right. It was in 2003 that a curator at the Tate declared that they were not of Venice at all. They had been renamed the arrival of Louis Philippe, who was king at the time of France, at Portsmouth, 8th of October 1844, and the disembarkation of Louis Philippe, 8th of October 1844.
Well, that is also a stretch, isn't it? I mean, you can't see him coming or going, can you?
It's not the first time it's happened to a Turner painting. There was one which was identified as a view of Monte Rosa in Italy for over a century, and it turns out it's actually a pier in Scotland. Pizza pie. What's the pizza-litically correct procedure for eating a piece of pizza? What is it?
Many years ago,
Yes.
I was a friend of and knew Fanny Craddock.
Oh, dear Fanny.
The younger people won't know who she was. She was a television chef, a sort of interesting cross between Mary Berry and Jeremy Clarkson. A wonderful woman. And she taught me and my wife how to make pizza, proper Neapolitan pizza, and she explained to us, A, that you cut it up, but then you don't use knife and fork to eat it. You have to eat it by hand.
Yes.
And you have to feed one another.
Yeah. The fact is you can eat pizza any way you please, but there are certain thoughts and some advice about how to do it.
It's a fold, isn't it?
It's a fold.
So the grease doesn't go everywhere.
Yeah, so what you end up with is a sort of triangular package with all the toppings inside. They don't slip off.
That looks exactly like Fanny's.
Yes.
What, no, I think that's the perfect way to eat pizza.
It is.
Well, I don't think so. I think that's a greedy way to eat pizza. That's like bunging as much in at a time as you can. Whereas in Italy, you tend to put a finger in and just sort of bend it. So you...
We're talking about eating pizza.
No,
put a pizza in and then bend it, yeah?
That was your lines. That was not my mother.
Can I just say that my mother watches this?
Not for much longer.
No.
You don't fold it because then you
Where
don't
do you
get
put
the...
a finger in, though, Sally? Where do you put a finger?
Well, you... how do you do it? I'm just trying...
You can't put the finger
You kind
in.
of... You make it so it's like a bent... like a scoop thing. And so it's basically so that you can hold the end up.
So you've got to keep it up, but then pop your finger in.
If you hold the triangle flat, the end will go floppy. So do it like that.
Yeah.
Is anyone else with me? I've never really had a problem eating a bit of finger. I tend to pick it up and bite some off.
Yes, and just get on with it. Keep in this basket.
You get those if you go fruit picking. Baskets like that.
Yes, you do, but not... it's this particular basket.
It looks a bit like a building to me.
It is a building. It is exactly right. What you'd keep in it is a basket-making company. It is a 7-storey picnic basket. It was built as the headquarters for a basket-making company called Longaberger Company. It was the brainchild of Mr. Dave Longaberger, and at one point the architects tried to talk him out of it. They said it was a very bad idea. And he said, if they can put a man on the moon, they can certainly build a building that's shaped like a basket.
You say brainchild.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, Mr. Longaberger no longer with us, and the Longaberger Company has downsized and relocated. It's rather sad,
Was
isn't
he
it?
buried in a coffin made in a massive coffin-shaped factory?
Yeah. What do you think gets made in this building? So it's the middle bit that we're really interested in. That's sort of the very long bit. What do you think?
Now, is that the rope-making place in Chatham?
It is absolutely the rope-making place in Chatham. Rope has been made there since 1618. And it's where all the strands are woven together to make the rope.
I know it because I've been in it.
Have you? Why were you in it?
We're doing a Horizon documentary about how long is a piece of string.
Oh.
That's the sort of thing Horizon ought to be doing.
They've got a building that's about a quarter of a mile long. The ropes go almost as far as you can see properly. They make very, very long ropes indeed.
They do, and it's really, really tough work. You start the rope-making process by combing the raw hemp fibre across boards with long iron pins. They're called hatchels, and it straightens the fibres. And then they use whale oil to lubricate the fibres, which is known as train oil.
Did you say whale oil?
Whale oil, yes. A whale is part oil. I have a recipe. Do you want more?
Is there a vegan version?
It'd be nice if you could tap into the whale and get some oil without having to drag it out and slice it up.
Yeah, what, like a tap?
Yeah.
What are those things you stick in trees, you know, that
Yes.
you wind in and then the sap comes
To
out?
get the sap out.
So you could do that with a whale. It wouldn't be pleasant.
No.
If you said to the whale, look, you've got 2 options here.
Yeah.
Either we put a tap on you...
Yeah.
Or we slice you into pieces. What's it going to be?
You have to You have to go 5 miles away to hear the answer.
I think he said tap. Let's do it.
I've got a gift for you all now. I've got your very own QI periscopes, OK? Have a look. What are you going to use them for? OK, have a look through. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah.
It's very clever, because even though you're down below, you can still see the audience, even though you're below the desk.
Totally understood periscopes.
I can't see the audience now. I can't see the audience.
No, you need your periscope, darling, is the thing.
Yeah, my periscope doesn't work.
Where's Alan gone?
Rod.
Allah!
Oh, dear, no,
I can see your periscope, Phil. I can see yours as well. Are you under the desk? I am under the desk, Alan. I'm coming up. OK. I'm now above the desk, Phil.
We toyed with the idea of having 2 5-year-old boys on the panel. And then we thought, no need.
This is me going down the stairs.
OK.
I'm coming up now. Oh, I forgot to say.
He's having so much fun under there. You should see his little face.
really enjoyed that.
Phil, get up now. You're all right.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's,
Do you need a hand?
Getting up takes a bit of a while.
Come on. No, hang on. I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'm on my way. OK.
So
Thank
you. Thanks, Mum. Can I have this?
Yes, you can have them.
Because we've got quite a high garden wall and I've often wanted to look over it.
Didn't you build the high garden wall, Owen?
Yes. It's true to say I could have a lower one. But really, I want to go like that.
Tell if a PC is cut out for the job.
Is it about...
Yes.
Making dummy policemen?
Yes.
And then deterring criminals by placing them strategically?
This is exactly right. So you get points, everybody gets points.
I'm slightly miffed that I finally get points and everyone else gets points as well.
I know, life's a bugger. Various police forces have experimented with stationing cardboard cutout police officers at potential crime scenes instead of actual officers, and they have experienced, honestly, startling results. In 2013, the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority Police, they put 2 cutouts in bike rack cages at a place called Alewife Station, and theft rates instantly fell by 2/3. So let me give you a sense of what that is like. I have here my... Yes, I know.
Oh, they've made him deliberately tall.
No. He's regular height.
No, he isn't. No, he isn't.
No, he's enormous.
He's standing on
his head's that wide.
Let's all get out.
Come on, let's all have a picture with the police. Come, Sally, come and smile with the policeman. This is a picture you'll never see again. Look. Hang on a second.
Opportunity doesn't come down.
Grandpa's got his camera. Darling,
taking a picture of the
that's the audience.
I'm so sorry. Listen, there we are. It's amazing. I've got so many photographs of my right ear. You wouldn't believe it.
No, I absolutely would believe it.
They're filming this, Giles.
Okay, you do
I'll do it. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. It's smiling, everybody. Here we go.
You haven't got the policeman in it now.
I don't give a fuck about the policeman.
May I share something with you?
What I know about you, Giles, is there's no stopping you once you've decided.
Well, all I will tell you is this. The uniform isn't necessary. I only know this because I happen to have made a one-show film about this very subject.
Oh, right.
And it turns out that it's entirely the eyes looking at you that make the difference. It turns out that it is the head and the eyes in particular that looking at people makes them stop doing whatever they were thinking of doing.
That's true, yeah. Thames Valley Police, they rotate 2 life-size cutouts between the shops in Oxford, Windsor, Maidenhead and Ascot, apparently, and that deters shoplifters.
I think I can tell they're not real policemen. Because it's the way they're floating.
I have to say the Police Federation are not too thrilled with this. They reckon that it's an attempt to avoid paying salary and pension costs, and of course it is, absolutely it is that.
It's also a bit embarrassing for them that they're just as effective as a real policeman.
Well, if you want to do embarrassing, I think this is even more embarrassing. Several forces have admitted suffering theft of their cardboard policemen. 3 gone missing from filling stations in Derbyshire, 2 were stolen in Cleveland, and Humberside lost 1 from the Tesco supermarket in Grimsby.
I noticed that they're all men policemen. Think how more effective it would be if they had women police persons in uniform looking at you beadily. That really, if you're frightened of your mother as I am, that would have...
Or just your mother in a uniform.
Oh, I saw those pictures before my father burnt them.
Anybody know where the word coconut comes from?
Is it something to do with the fact that you can see a face in one?
It is that. So coco refers to a character in Portuguese folklore. The name means grimace or grinning bogeyman. So it was basically Portuguese and Spanish seafarers from that period. And the 3 holes on the top of the coconut represent the face. In the Philippines, you've spent time in the Philippines, haven't you?
I grew up
It's
there.
known as the tree of life.
Yes.
The coconut tree. Because
They use all parts of it. You know, they build their houses from it, you eat it. They use every part of the coconut.
This is actually in the Philippines. It's the Coconut Palace Court. This is a government building built entirely from coconuts. Now, here's the thing. We were going to try and open a coconut, but I don't trust any of you boys at all, so I've only given Sindhu the coconut. What I thought is you could have the coconut and a hammer and a screwdriver.
No.
You don't need a hammer and a screwdriver?
No. But
do you want the boys to mansplain what you need to do to open it?
Well, they're probably going to anyway, so do you guys get into it? Actually, because we open coconuts all the time. Whenever you do anything auspicious, you start with a coconut. See?
Okay, yeah.
This is the way it goes. There you go. Here's the thing. It's something you do before any auspicious prayer or anything, or when you get something new. And, you know, people take it, like, if your grandmother's involved, she takes it very seriously. So when we got a new car, she did it not in front of the car.
Oh.
But,
on the car?
On the car.
Oh.
And it didn't work because the car is not concrete. So she said, this is very inauspicious. You have to return the car.
How many cars did you go through before you found one that...
No, we didn't. We told her, oh, you know, Granny, go to sleep. And then when she woke up, we said, this is another car.
But did you just strike it in a particular place?
You have to hold it here.
Right.
And if it doesn't crack the first time, it's your fault and you've done something inauspicious, and then your mother gives you a tight slap. So really, you just learn from the beginning.
But what if the reason you want to open the coconut is because you want to drink the coconut water inside?
These coconuts are not the drinking ones. Those are the green ones.
It's coconutally nuts how versatile the coconut is. How can you tell if your partner is dead?
Well, are they moving, breathing, speaking? Are they nagging you and berating you for all your behaviour?
These are the
Are they
things.
finding fault, Sam?
OK, it's to do with tossing.
You toss them?
You do. You absolutely do. It is the practice of people throwing or tossing people on blankets. So, this guy in the middle is called Johann Unser. He was a German doctor, and he, in the 18th century, was visiting Corsica. And he wrote down about this. When a married man died, it was common for villagers to toss the corpse on a blanket for hours on end, which occasionally had the effect of bringing him back to life. If he didn't come back to life, then the local women would gather and they would beat his widow as a punishment for letting him die. If it turned out he wasn't dead, then I imagine she dealt with him. It's not uncommon, it's not just in Corsica. So you get it in Spain. It's called pelele and prellen in Germany. It's a bit like giving somebody the bumps on their birthday. And it was a common thing to toss people up and down in that way.
Is there any, like, medical basis for that to work, like jolting the heart?
Well, it could be, but I mean, it has a kind of a superstitious background to it, so the idea of tossing things in the air to ward off evil spirits. And it probably comes from winnowing, so you know about separating the wheat from the chaff. So the simplest way is to toss it in the air because the chaff is lighter than the wheat and the wind will blow it away. And so there's a sort of symbolic thing of doing that with human beings.
He's dead. He's alive. He's alive. Oh, he's dead again. His neck's broken. Where's his widow? It's your fault.
Yeah, your fault. One of the most famous recipients of a tossing, Sancho Panza from which book?
Oh, Don Quixote.
Don Quixote, chapter 17. He and his master refused to pay an innkeeper's bill, and so he's grabbed by a group of lodgers and they toss him up
And
and
Queen
down.
Elizabeth, she was tossed, wasn't she?
Queen Elizabeth I?
The second.
The second?
Yeah. The day of the coronation.
Do tell.
Well, they had a rehearsal, and the Archbishop of Canterbury and a few of the cohorts, they gave her a toss, and that's the tradition. People aren't familiar with it because we haven't had a coronation for ages, but Charles is next.
Really?
Is that actually a thing?
Of course not, you fool.
No, darling. You thought your nan catching a bus was a game. Bless your heart. But there were strict rules about it. But if you really wanted to punish somebody, you would laden the whole thing with logs and tools and... I know. And it wasn't just humans that were tossed. There was actually a game called Fuchsbrellen, or fox tossing, played by German aristocrats in the 17th century. And they had actual courts for fox tossing. The winner was the team that got their fox highest in the air. The whole ground there, it's covered in sawdust in case they missed, and that's to protect the fox. It's to keep it alive for the next tossing, because they're valuable. The most famous match was held in Dresden. There was a man called Augustus II The Strong, he was known as. In this particular game, 647 foxes, 533 hares, 34 badgers and 21 wild cats were tossed. And the whole game finished off with a jolly good clubbing.
Oh, God.
I know, for any animals that were still alive.
And the Tories want to bring it back.
I like Augustus the Strong. He liked to toss with just one finger, like that. So he had a sling attached to the blanket.
Do that again.
He was an extraordinary fellow, Augustus the Strong. He liked to break horseshoes with his bare hands. That was his bit of fun.
You know what's worse than being tossed?
What's that?
Indoor tossing.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah.
Especially for women, because there's always the glass ceiling.
Oh, very good.
A good tossing can save a marriage. Wow. How many wings does an angel have?
Jingle bells.
Yes,
Depends.
that's not really an answer, that's I don't know.
Renaissance angels tend to have two.
Yeah.
I said Renaissance angels.
Oh. Well, Sam, it's like this.
What's
The
your
angel Matt
reckon?
has had 4 wings.
4.
Well, you could be right, but it rather depends on the kind of angel.
That's literally what I said. Literally said it depends on the kind of angel.
There's 2 kinds of angels in the Bible with wings. The seraphim and cherubim. So seraphim have 6 wings and the cherubim have 4. There is no angel in the Bible that has 2 wings.
Oh, sorry, you meant
Actual
angels.
angels.
I do apologise, I was talking
I'm
about
sorry.
representation.
This is the woman happy to talk for hours about the home life of the Hobbit.
That's real, Sandy. It's very different. It's based on fact.
So the seraphim, that's the highest in the angel hierarchy. That's the sort of fiery, burning ones. They are described as, above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. So,
So he was like, and then also flying.
Yeah.
I'm a shy angel.
The cherubim have got 4 wings, as well as they also have 4 faces: a man, lion, ox, and an eagle. The bit I'm not sure about. So you get Gabriel in Islam as an angel of revelation, but there's a hadith that he had 600 wings. I would have thought that would be tricky to operate.
He had a hang gliding business.
I was coming back on the train from Scotland the other day, and I went past the Angel of the North. It is an astonishing thing when you see it.
Yeah.
It is one of the most visible pieces of art in the world. It is seen by 1 person every second on average.
And it spins. You can give it a whack. And...
It's the largest art statue in the world. So that wingspan is 54 metres. It's longer than a Boeing 747. And the reason it can withstand 100-mile-per-hour winds, it goes as far below the ground as it does
Like a
above.
tree.
Yeah. So it's sort of dug in.
But it isn't an angel, because it's only got 2 wings.
Yeah, I need to have a word and say, you just need another 598. There was a miniature Angel of the North in 2008. So the designer, Anthony Gormley, had made some miniatures, you know, just to sort of check out how it was going to work. And that item was the very first item valued at £1 million on the Antiques Roadshow. It had been standing in the offices of Gateshead Council for 13 years.
Imagine being the person queuing behind them. With your little vase.
Yeah.
I've got these egg cups. They're in my nose covered. They smell a bit of me now, actually.
We could not find pie in the sky, but we can find beer. Where would we find beer in the sky?
Oh, in space.
In space, about 10,000 light years from Earth.
Did someone lob a can up? It's just landed.
Here is an incredible thing. There is a giant cloud of alcohol with enough ethyl alcohol for 400 trillion pints of beer. That is enough for every person on Earth to drink 300,000 pints every day for 1 billion years.
Why are we living here?
Because it's spiked with hydrogen cyanide.
Classic.
I know.
Damn those Russians.
But the intriguing thing is that the cloud contains ethyl formate, so that is it's the chemical compound that helps give raspberries their taste.
Oh.
And it reportedly smells like rum. It seems that the centre of our galaxy may taste and smell like raspberry-flavoured rum.
Oh, my God.
Can I just ask, when you say it reportedly smells like rum...
Yeah.
Who reported it?
Well, we know what the chemical is and we know what the chemical smells like, but nobody's been there.
Right.
You could volunteer.
Now.
Yeah.
What's it smell like? What's it smell like?
I mean, it could be blackberries. I think it's raspberries. Doris disagrees.
Have you had raspberries for breakfast?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did. Now I think of it.
People who do those wine things, isn't it? Oh, it's like, I'm getting blackcurrant, I'm getting running naked through heather.
Skirting boards. I'm getting skirting boards and linoleum. You've fallen over.
Getting the action of someone stretching a turtle's neck. Slash skipping rope.
Alcohol in the air. 2017, there was a fraternity party, a Tequila Tuesday, at a fraternity house called Sigma Alpha Epsilon in Bethesda in Maryland. They drank so much alcohol that the ambient air in the house failed a breathalyzer test.
That is brilliant.
I used to take my kids to this music group. I said, where does it take place? They said, it's in the rugby club, in the bar. Went into the bar, which is carpeted. I don't think any bar should ever be carpeted. Now, that ambient air would have failed a breathalyzer test. And all the toddlers were pissed as fuck. They were singing Show Me the Way to Go Home.
The most terrifying thing about Anne Robinson.
Where do you start?
Tell you what it is. She's behind you.
You've got third Anne syndrome.
It's her wink.
Find that terrifying?
There's no need to wink in society unless you're telling someone you don't believe what you're actually saying.
Right.
So at the end of The Weakest Link, when Anne Robinson says, join us again tomorrow for The Weakest Link, and winks, what she's actually saying is, I hope you die in the next 24 hours.
Is it that she's sitting in fire and not burning?
Yes, I'm going to give you a clue. So it is quite cold here in the studio. In fact, I think this studio is possibly haunted. So there is...
You've let your gender down there.
You didn't see Josh.
As well.
I genuinely, as it fell, I thought, what are the chances of... Oh, wait a minute.
So, one of the most famous poltergeist cases was the Stockwell Poltergeist of 1772. So there was a Mrs. Golding of Stockwell, and she was terrorised by a presence that smashed crockery and moved furniture. One of my favourite books of all time, this is not my copy because I'd never be able to carry it around, is The Memoirs of Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds by Charles Mackay. If you haven't read it, I really, really recommend it. It's a wonderful Victorian book.
It's not one for the tube, though, is it?
Sandi, that looks like your bed.
I don't think you should tell people that you know that. Mrs. Golding, an elderly lady who resided alone with her servant, Anne Robinson, was sorely surprised on the evening of Twelfth Day, 1772.
250 years old!
That surgery is amazing. She looks really good.
That she can wink at
If you asked me to guess, I'd put a ballpark on it.
She looks great.
She was sorely surprised to observe a most extraordinary commotion among her crockery. Cups and saucers rattled down the chimney, pots and pans were whirled downstairs, and every room in the house was in a short time strewed with fragments. It turns out that all of this only happened when her servant was there, and her servant was called Anne Robinson, and she had tied horse hairs and wires to objects in order to scare her employer. It says, Anne, it appears, was anxious to have a clear house to carry on an intrigue with her lover and resorted to this trick to effect her purpose.
One of the reasons I don't believe in ghosts is that my grand said that when she died, she was going to haunt me if there was such a thing as ghosts, and she hasn't.
Maybe
Yeah,
she's
she has.
busy.
She's come back as Adam Hill.
What's the most perilous job in the world?
Parachute tester.
It is a real and obviously perilous job.
Hang on, is this the actual answer?
No, it isn't the actual answer. By chance, you stumbled upon something that I actually knew, which I was rather pleased about. But there's a worse job than a parachute tester.
Parachutist capture.
Again, nearly right. So nearly right. It's a reverse parachute tester. So, during the Cold War, both sides had spy bases in the Arctic. Aircraft couldn't land anywhere, so staff had to be parachuted in, but they also had to be parachuted out again.
Oh, that must hurt.
Yeah. So they used a thing called a sky hook or an aero retriever. It's a device for parachuting upwards. And what they did was they got a helium balloon and it carried a rope up into the air. The aeroplane grabbed the rope and reeled it in with the spy on the end. OK, let's have a quick look at this procedure in action. There's the guy on the ground.
Oh.
Waving cheerfully.
He's saying...
Wow!
Yeah. Shitty
That's how they board you on EasyJet. Human fishing.
Yes, I suppose it is.
Fishing, I like that.
So lots of perilous jobs, things with heavy machinery, working at sea. Probably the most perilous specific job is being President of the United States. You have an 8 in 44 chance of dying in office. It's roughly, the fatality rate, 27 times that of a lumberjack.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, luckily, the present one's really likeable.
Yes. Test piloting a fighter jet, that's another extremely perilous job.
Yeah.
There's an extraordinary story. In 1956, just off the coast of New York State, there was a fighter test pilot called Tom Attridge, and he accidentally shot himself down. So what he did was he did a burst of his cannons and then he accelerated downwards, and shortly afterwards his windscreen shattered and the engine failed, and he assumed that it had been bird strikes. In fact, he'd flown into his own stream of 20mm cannon rounds. Wow. So although the bullets had had a head start, the air resistance had slowed them down, he'd accelerated and caught them up.
Oh, like an episode of Mr. Bean.
I know. The good news is the plane crashed, but he survived.
Oh, good, yeah.
Other dangerous job in terms of sport?
Motorsport.
Motorsport, yeah, absolutely right.
Motorcycling.
Formula One.
No. I have to disagree with you there. The most dangerous sport is fishing. It causes more fatalities than any other sport.
To fish, certainly.
To the people that drown. There's more people killed fishing than any other sport. And if you don't believe me, just trust me.
Trust you? The legendary liar from Would I Lie to You?
More people have killed fishing than any other sport. But perhaps they mean percentage-wise of how many people do it. Back to you, Sandy.
Thank you. Formula One, not so dangerous now, but in the 1970s, you had a 0.35% chance of dying each time you competed in the Grand Prix, and a driver who competed in every race for 5 years had a nearly 20% risk of dying on the job.
I've got some horror stories about fishermen, but carry on. Billy Park's milkman Accrington drowned. Back to you.
Is it that they're pulled in by a particularly large salmon? Is that what happened?
It's just a big fish, and then it's like that clip of the man being parachuted up.
Yeah.
It's a big one!
I absolutely love reading the data of these things. So 2015, the Health and Safety Executive data shows the most accident-prone occupation in the UK is hairdresser. I know! Really? Hairdresser.
I thought window cleaner or something.
Beautician. No. Most likely to cut or burn yourself or trip over something.
That guy, yeah, but...
This guy on the right is a Pakistani hairdresser who apparently doesn't use scissors.
No.
The guy on the left who's waiting's not keen.
He burns it and then he puts it out with a hairdryer.
Just singes it off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to see this fella fishing.
Describe an ancient Egyptian pregnancy testing kit.
Surely once an Egyptian becomes ancient, they can't get pregnant.
One of them's a stand-up comedian, by the look of it. I'll just do a quick 5.
I think once they start wrapping you in bandages, that's a pretty good sign you're going to be a mummy. I reckon it's something to do with food cravings. If some ancient Egyptian lady was insisting on having squirty cream on her camel's hoof, and you'd think,
It's like a Mary Berry recipe.
Some Blumenthal, probably, but I meant camel's hoof as a food. That's what I meant. Like mayonnaise on chocolate fingers, that kind of is a bad example. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Strange food combinations is what I meant.
It's no. No is the answer.
Right. It's not squirty cream on your
weirdly,
camels.
I know. What are the chances? So there are various papyruses. They're known generally as the Berlin papyruses. There's one, 6619. It's usually known simply as the Berlin papyrus. It was written in 1300 BC, and it's in 2 fragments. So it's largely concerned with Egyptian mathematics, and it notably suggests, for example, knowledge of Pythagoras' theorem 800 years before Pythagoras. But anyway, it contains the following. Another test for a woman who will bear, or a woman who will not bear, wheat and spelt. Let the woman water them daily with her urine. If they both grow, she will bear. If the wheat grows, it will be a boy. If the spelt grows, it will be a girl. If neither grows, she will not bear. So already they have some sense of the chemical changes in a woman. And in 1963, archaeologists tested this ancient medicinal folklore. Now, the girl-boy thing, absolute hogwash, but 70% accurate as a predictor of pregnancy against non-pregnancy.
A pregnant woman's wee would cause germination of a seed.
Yeah.
Whereas if she's not pregnant, it wouldn't.
Yes, correct.
Because it's like a chemical in it that...
Yeah, because of the changes in the woman. There's an even earlier test described in the Bruch papyrus, so that's around 1350 BC, and it involves a watermelon.
Now we're talking.
They have the squirty cream.
Yeah. A watermelon pounded is mixed with the milk of a woman who has borne a son and is given to the patient to drink. If she vomits, she is pregnant. If she only has flatulence, she will never bear again.
No, but hang on. If she vomits, she's pregnant. I mean, that's a pretty good sign, regardless.
I have to say the other bit about her farting not proved to be true. That's just a weird thing.
What if you did both? Was there a... What's it say? What's
Somewhat
C?
C.
Option C.
Option C. None of the above.
I always think, though, about somebody like that who did discover these things, that when they were finally proved right, was it worth it? Because they must have been considered an absolute weirdo for a long time when they were going, I bet you women pissing on something is going to be the key to this.
Yeah.
Until eventually he hit on seeds,
Yeah.
having ruined a lot of parties by getting women to piss on this dog's back. That didn't mean anything.
Yeah. There's a text from 1552 that said that a pregnant woman had urine that was clear, pale, lemon-coloured, leaning towards off-white and having a cloud on its
It's like a colour chart.
I know, it is exactly that. Yes, exactly that.
It's like the Waitrose wine guide.
By the 1920s, they knew that there's a specific hormone, it's called HCG, is present in the urine of pregnant women, and they used to inject the urine into sexually immature rabbits and rodents, and then on the 5th day, the animal was killed and autopsied to examine the state of the ovaries. And then if a pregnant woman would have bulging masses found on the ovaries. So when I was a child, it was the thing that women said, because I grew up in the United States, they'd say, how's Mrs. So-and-so? And somebody would say, the rabbit died. And that meant she was pregnant. That was a euphemism.
I mean, no rabbits in medical things are, you know, don't envy any of them, but...
No.
If you were at the lab and some of them are having the moisturisers and the facials, and then you're there being injected with piss, you'd be...
Drake Passage is off the southern tip of South America. Does anybody know what the southern tip of South America is called?
Cape Horn.
It is Cape Horn. Does anybody know what the southern tip of Africa is called? Yes.
Cape of Good Hope.
Not called the Cape of Good Hope. You crazy fool!
I don't care.
It's good not
Bring
to
it
care.
on.
The southernmost point of Africa is actually called Cape Agulhas. There it is about 90 miles away. You can see the Cape of Good Hope. There is not much to see there. There's a sort of rocky beach. They've placed a bit of a plaque so that you can see. It marks the dividing line between the Indian Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean, so a relatively cold one and a relatively warm one. The Cape of Good Hope is the bit that the Flying Dutchman couldn't get round. Does anybody know, while we're on southernmost parts, the southernmost part of the North American continent?
Well, it's all connected up, isn't it, to the South American continent.
Oh, no, the North Shore of the canal, of the Panama Canal.
It's really an astonishing thing. It's actually Australia. Geologists have discovered that there is an area around Georgetown in northern Queensland. It was once part of North America more than 1 billion years ago. It's got rocks in the area that are unlike any other rock deposits in Australia.
Oh, here we
And
go. Here we go again.
What?
Yeah. This shows the QI ceaseless bullshit. It's Australia.
Sorry, have I upset you, darling?
Oh, no, it's like the sun not being there when it was there and all these other things that happened.
The southernmost point of mainland Australia is rather brilliantly called South Point. But which is wider, Australia or the moon?
Well, oh, that's a good one.
Hang on.
The moon. Are they the same?
Australia.
The moon is somewhat less than the width of Australia.
Is it?
So Australia's about 4,000 kilometres and the moon is 3,500. If you were observing from the moon, Australia would look the same size as the moon does to us. But which one's got the greatest surface area, do you suppose?
The moon.
Yeah, because it's a sphere. So it would obviously have as much... Who wears the trousers in a Pantisocracy?
Oh, it's one of those kinky parties where people turn up in either panties or socks. You take a choice.
It has got the word all in it, so panto for all, and then we have... Socracy. So from isocratia, so equality of power. So basically it is government for and by... Everybody. All, yeah. So it was a... Yes, Charles, you don't rarely ask permission to speak.
Well, I know there are bonus points for courtesy.
Oh, yes, very good. What were you going to say, madame?
I was going to say that I've actually lived in a Pantisocracy.
Have you?
And it's hell. When I was about 17, a master from our schools...
Where's this going?
He was subsequently arrested, but that is a different story. This master invited some of us to go on holiday to Devon. And he said, we are going to be Pantisocrats. And the idea was we went to a village where Coleridge, the poet, had been on holiday. And he told us that Coleridge and a friend of his, I think Southey...
Robert Southey.
They had invented this idea of a society where everybody was equal.
Yeah.
And on this holiday, all 8 of us and this one teacher lived this life of being equals. And we all had to be different romantic poets. I ended up as Byron. It was a ghastly, ghastly experience. And it put me off equality forever.
Yes.
And this led to what we all had to do on this holiday.
OK.
The idea was we were all asked to be different poets, and the fellow who chose to be Southey told us the story of the 3 bears. I had chosen to be Byron. Not Lord Byron, but his cousin, H.J. Byron, Henry James Byron, the man, as you know, Sandy, who invented Widow Twankey for the pantomime Aladdin and also created the character of Buttons. OK, you live and learn. And 3 weeks of this, somewhere in Devon, all pretending to be characters. It was hell. It was sheer hell.
3 weeks?
Yeah, he, the master, of course, was on Coleridge and took it seriously, which meant taking opium. He was a druggie.
Did you at any stage in the 3 weeks stop talking?
I, for one, would have liked to have seen you give your twanky.
No.
But to live, to method act the creator of Widow Twankey for 3 weeks.
But also, isn't it appalling that this great man, H.J. Byron, is virtually unknown? He was the first cousin of Lord Byron. Nobody is reading Byron anymore. Byron Schbyron. But every Christmas we go, we cheer at Buttons, Widow Twankey, we love her. Nobody even knows that this man exists.
How did he write just those characters?
He wrote the whole show, but I'm cutting to the chase because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I desperately want to know whether you chose H.J. Byron or whether he was imposed upon you.
Just one tiny second, Jazz. Do not ask him any supplementary questions. What is the most useful organ of the body? I'm going to give you a clue. OK. Begins with a P.
Penis.
I just say, that picture of that gentleman... Is he wearing something underneath, or is that...
Are you going to make us explain the male physique? Do you?
Perineum.
Perineum is very good.
That's an organ on its own. It's an area.
Just so we're getting with pee on the body, Pascal?
Yeah.
How about a paunch?
Paunch? How is that useful?
I've always felt a bit sorry for people who've not got a paunch.
Yes. Nowhere to
I mean,
put
if you're
your
reading
beer.
in bed, you can rest your book.
Yes.
And actually, it's really important for dancing.
Why?
My dance partner from Strictly, Katya, was on the show this year with a thin person.
Right.
And they gave her a very bad back. Because she was always leaning in, trying to find him.
Right.
Whereas I was...
Readily available.
Always at all times. Bang!
I'm going to give you an extra point. For
That
Paul.
was why so many professional dancers approach me in nightclubs. If I dance with you, I'll live to be 100.
Sure,
a paunch can so easily lead to crying on your own. If not managed properly.
Yes, that's so true. But,
I think you've curated yours very well.
I haven't created it, I've just mismanaged it.
Curated.
It's like, you know, when the Woodland Trust will sell you a forest?
Yeah.
And then it gets a bit overgrown.
Right, so what I'm looking for, we've all had one. We don't necessarily have one now, but we've all had one.
Who?
It's the placenta. In its time, it has performed the roles of the kidney, of the lungs, of the liver, the guts, the endocrine glands, disposed of waste. It is, because it's made by a woman, it is a multi-skilling organ.
And it's also a superfood.
Well, it's not scientifically proven,
No.
the whole eating the placenta thing. It's very trendy. The idea is that it is full of proteins, it's done all these things, but it's waste matter.
Do you know who eats placenta in the world?
Idiots.
Idiots.
Can you combine it with anything else?
Well, yes, you can. There are recipes, and I have some advice for preparing a placenta if anybody's interested. Clean it. First by draining all the blood, then rinsing it until it's pink. Then you'll have to cut away the umbilical cord and membranes. Once it's prepared, it's no different from something you'd get at the butcher's, so go ahead, roast, steam, sauté, flambé, whatever the culinary winds take you. Add herbs or garlic, if
So
you like.
essentially, it's like fish fingers.
You don't really often wash the blood off fish fingers.
I do, but quite often I've fallen over before deciding to...
The only tribe that actually routinely eats the placenta are affluent people in the USA. In fact, the Royal College of Midwives says there is absolutely no evidence that it does you any good whatsoever.
So it's total trendy garbage.
Generally, it's a stupid idea.
I'd be more concerned because it's not readily available on the shelves.
Right.
If I ate it once and it became the food for me... Which major chain?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to end up in a conversation going, oh, I'm not keen on Tesco's.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think theirs has been corn-fed. Just following, where can I get a placenta that I'm happy?
A free-range placenta.
Yeah.
Let's have a happy life.
Yeah.
I'm worried you'll be following heavily pregnant women around, just with your hands out, waiting.
You finished with that? You finished with that now?
Moving on to paleontology, we're going to place a tray of finds. There they are, you've got them. And I would like you to identify the fossil. So, now, you can use any part of your body except your hands. Thank you. So, how might you identify any of them?
They told me I wouldn't need my glasses.
OK, do you want to borrow mine? Here.
Yes.
There you go, sweetie.
Well, these are all pebbles from a standard British B-row. I got...
Okay.
So Phil is heading in the right direction.
Can I put it in my mouth?
No, you can't. Well, let's... Now, Terry...
Can I put it in my mouth?
Terry is exactly right. Terry has got the right answer.
Good, good for her.
So they've got various ways of distinguishing fossils from plain old rocks, but one of the ways you do it is to lick them.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm gonna just pay no attention. I'm gonna lick this long one.
That's actually a British sweet. That's yeah. You don't. Yeah. Okay.
I really want to touch it.
No.
That's the ringtone I want.
It's hot in here. It's hot. It's hot in here, Sandy.
So first of all, you can tell by looking, and you can tell a bit by the texture. But if all else fails, you can identify the fossils by licking them. Which one do you think is the dinosaur bone?
Right. This little one.
So if you look up, see, it's A.
B.
It's A. Is the dinosaur bone. It's stickier than a normal stone because it's got calcium and it's porous.
Which ones did you lick?
It's stickier.
Just the one in the middle.
Not good.
You just licked the one in the middle.
Yeah.
OK, good.
OK, what I... as hot as when you did it, Terry, I'm honest.
Right, what am I...
B. Try B.
Try B?
Yeah, just have a lick of it. No, don't put it all in your mouth, then. Just lick it.
Just lick it. Hasn't anyone ever told you that?
It's dinosaur poo.
Is it?
What's the correct word for dinosaur poo, or any poo?
Delicious.
Fossilised? It's a coprolite.
Yeah. OK.
So it would stick to the tongue. You don't necessarily have to touch them with your hands. There is a place in the United States called Big Bone Lick. It's in Kentucky. Have you been there?
I've never been to Big Bone Lick.
Oh, well.
That's so weird. It's on the top of my list now, though.
Name a Greek word with a silent P.
Enos.
Do you mean as in pterodactyl?
But why are you being klaxon?
Is that not Greek in origin?
It is Greek in origin.
So it has a silent P because we don't pronounce the P.
Well, I'm just trying to think of the other words, like psalm and philosophy and...
Philip. So, the fact is that English speakers dispense with them, but the Greeks do not. There are no silent Ps in Greek. So, for example, the letter PSI, all right, they have a single letter, and we pronounce it psi, but in Greek, that sound is more like the PS that we have in laps.
Oh, what about philosophy?
Well, philosophy doesn't work anyway, because that makes a F. So without the P, it's a hilosophy.
What about ptarmigan? You know the bird? Why do we think it's spelled in that way?
I think I've forgotten how to read, because none of this is making any...
Do you know what a ptarmigan is?
A ptarmigan? It's like a little grouse, isn't it?
No, it's cheese. You grate it on your pasta.
Well, ptarmigan is, in fact, a Gallic word, ptarmigan. And what happened was there was a man called Sir Robert Sibbald, and he wrongly assumed that it had been a Greek word of origin, and so he put a P in front of it. There is no need for the P to be there at all. It's not Greek in any way. It is simply a Scottish word that he misunderstood.
Do you know that's not quite interesting? It's riveting.
It is good, isn't it? So, Sir Robert Sibbald, I really like this, Alan. This got me very excited. He was the very first person to describe what creature scientifically.
Step away from the car! Is it the blue whale?
It is the blue whale, yes. Stranded in the Firth of Forth in 1692, and it was known for a very long time as Sibbald's Rorqual. So he got the ptarmigan wrong, but he did get the blue whale right, so I think that's pretty good. The silent P's were all pronounced until the preposterous English purged them. Right, moving on. Which is worse, mild peril or moderate torture?
Well, torture sounds worse. So
Doesn't sound good, does
I'm going
it?
to say that.
But I imagine the other way on, because people are often more frightened of things that haven't happened yet.
Yeah. So the British Board of Film Classification, which used to be the British Board of Film Censors,
Yes.
it not only awards films a certificate, but since 1997 it's provided a brief line of consumer advice of what to expect from the picture.
My favourite one is when it says, this film contains language.
OK, They used to have certain stock phrases, mild peril and moderate torture.
I remember that. I used to work at Odeon Cinema. Well, before they were Odeon, UCI Cinemas on the phones. And when that came in, we had to read it out. So you would say, OK, you've booked 4 tickets for Hellpeimer Fish. And please be aware that this film contains mild peril. And you would have to say, like, you've booked 5 tickets for Harry Potter. Please be aware this film contains fantasy spiders.
Yeah.
I prefer the old system. Remember, it was U, A, double A and X.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
What was wrong with that? It worked.
That was fine, wasn't it? We all knew what it meant. X was... I mean, I missed the X, don't you?
Yeah, something to aim for.
X was very scary or very sexy.
Oh.
So now if I get to the letter X in the alphabet, just looking at an alphabet, I get aroused. The X Factor, I can't watch it because I'm...
Wow! So let's have a quick look at some advice. So you did tell us one already, contains mild language and horror and fantasy spiders, is indeed Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Let's see if you can guess what these other ones are. Contains strong language, violence and sex, all involving puppets.
This is...
5 minutes ago. Is it Team America?
It is Team America.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
I love it.
Contains irresponsible behaviour.
Mr. Bean.
Yes, Mr. Bean's Holiday. Absolutely.
I've been waiting for this moment on cue.
How about this one? Dangerous behaviour, mild threat, innuendo, infrequent, mild, bad language.
QI.
Austin Powers? No.
Is it something that is quite tame?
Yes, darling.
Is it Pingu?
It's Paddington.
Yeah. What's the bad language in Paddington?
I have no
idea. Oh, actually, there was one bit where he said, "Where's my marmalade sandwich?" You
in the English language. Okay, I want you, please, to tell me what 3 words describe exactly Alan's current position.
Is it full of regret?
That's very good. Full of regret. Any other thoughts? 3 words.
Is what you're doing there deliberate, or is that just the way you sit?
Well, I'm just sitting on my hands, that's all.
Oh, is it sitting on hands?
So it could be. So in terms of where he is, his exact location, the only correct words are, in this exact order, joke, proof, value. It's Alan's precise current address, according to one of the most exciting things I've ever heard of, called What 3 Words. This is a British company, and they have divided the Earth's surface into squares, which are 3 metres by 3 metres. So there's 57 trillion squares in total, and they have assigned each one a unique 3-word code. Now, what's amazing about it, you only need 40,000 words in order to make the system work. It was launched in 2013. It operates in 25 languages, and it has already been adopted by actual countries. So in Mongolia and the Ivory Coast, they're the first to adopt it as the official address system. So if you have a look here, Bingaville in Côte d'Ivoire, glitter drummers stepping is exactly that point. San Francisco, actors asking print is exactly that point. Coffee, fever, cans, California, USA.
But what about all the floors of the building? How does that work?
It would just be the square that you are in.
The square goes all the way up.
Yeah. But what it means is that, for example, if an ambulance is called or something, you can be pretty specific about exactly where you need to go. So the Eiffel Tower, shut tech requests, the front doorstep of Buckingham Palace, sound manual lungs, at the top of Ayers Rock or Uluru, snake removes gymnast. Is the air being let out of you?
I can see the
procrastination. And you just put the little thing in the side again.
The vowels popped out.
Just pop
I think
it back
the kids have been playing with it.
Oh, no, just stick it back in it.
Trying to be old-fashioned.
Yeah.
But this seems to be overcomplicating things. Where do you live? Number 25, glittery bra coffee. It just...
We wouldn't need the 25, even.
Just glittery bra coffee.
The thing about it is that you couldn't confuse it with anywhere else in the world.
You say that, but people pissed in a cab. What's your address? It's glittery coffee bra, and then next thing you know, you're dropped off at, like, an airport in Nigeria.
We have actually written, using the what three-word system, to the British Embassy in Mongolia. We sent them out some time ago. I have to tell you, they've not arrived yet.
Fuck's that? I know.
I think fuck's that is just outside of...
Who is wearing the pants in this picture?
Well, that's Abraham Lincoln, is it not?
Oh, God! Why is he not wearing the pants in this picture?
Oh, it's not him. Like, it's a Photoshop of him. Oh, no, painting shop.
Painting shop. OK, so there's a very, very famous portrait of the president, Abraham Lincoln. But in 1957, there was a photojournalist called Stefan Laurent, and he was getting together pictures of Abraham Lincoln for a book rather cunningly titled Lincoln, a picture story of his life, when he noticed that Lincoln had a mole, and in this picture, it was on the wrong side of his face. And he knew that because Lincoln's head appears on the $5 bill. There it is, and the head had been reversed. And this is a very early forerunner of Photoshop. Interestingly, the body is that of a Southern politician called John Calhoun, and he was vehemently pro-slavery. So the body of somebody who's very pro-slavery is being used for the portrait of a man who, in the end, managed to abolish slavery.
It was the Russians.
What?
The Russians were meddled.
Yes, I think you're right, and we'd know that from reading Lincoln's tweets.
Yes.
So it's a composite picture. It was done by an artist called Thomas Hicks, and he is not wearing the pants because it's nothing to do with his body. But manipulating images is one of the oldest things. So in 1939, there's a photograph of King George VI with the Canadian Prime Minister and the Queen Mother, and the Canadian Prime Minister wanted to use it for an election poster, and he thought he'd look stronger and more the man in charge if the king wasn't in the picture, so he was just removed.
Looks like a really easy game of spot the difference.
And another wonderful one, 1942, picture of Mussolini on a horse, and he thought he didn't look butch enough because there was a guy holding the horse, so the handler is, I don't know, gone, just disappeared entirely, so that Mussolini looked a bit more butch.
So this is the opposite of self-inserting.
Yeah. And in some cases, actual elimination. There's a very famous photo of Stalin with his secret police official, Nikolai Yezhov.
It's not so secret.
Well, he fell out of favour. He was executed.
Oh,
and then
he fell in the river, sorry.
No, well... but he was gone. He was gone from the picture and gone
Shame he's gone and didn't just put someone else in.
What, like Mickey Mouse or something? Which of these punishments would you rather receive? The penalty of the sack, an Assyrian parking fine, or be forced to wear a drunkard's cloak?
Are they all worse than they sound?
Well, certainly the parking fine is hideous. So we're talking 700 BC. What do you think the parking fine might have been in 700?
I don't know, but I know after 30 days it doubles if you don't remember to pay.
What are you parking in Assyria?
Chariot or a horse or a camel or anything you like.
Where is Assyria? Is it Syria?
It's modern northern Iraq, southeastern Turkey, northwestern fringes of Iran. It's an area that's now divided up into other countries. And there was a king called Sennacherib, and he announced a parking restriction on the kingdom's royal road. So you couldn't build anything on it, you couldn't park your chariot out front, and if you did, you were impaled on a stake and planted in your own garden. That was the...
And that's for a single yellow or a double yellow?
What if your horse has just broken down?
Put his hazards on.
As long as he blinks, that's all right, the horse, right.
But they actually had a sign that said, Royal Road, let no man decrease it, in Arcadian cuneiform.
You're saying it like it's more of a punishment in your own garden. Why is that bit so bad?
You might have landscaped. You might have got your lovely front garden sorted, and then you...
Yeah, you've just put the Lalande in, it's all looking nice.
You'd be like one of those weathercocks, wouldn't you? You'd swing around with the wind. And if you died like that, you could always point in the direction of the wind.
I just imagine if I don't know, say your husband has been impaled on a stake and planted in the garden, you spend all your time going, yeah, but where have you put the car?
Yeah, the horse is in a pound somewhere. Also impaled on a stake. I mean, they impaled the horse, not me.
Stashed all the parking tickets in its mouth. Look at them all. Look at how many you've ignored.
Right, well, other punishments, the penalty of the sack or drunkard's cloak. What do you fancy?
Penalty of the sack? It doesn't sound too bad. Maybe a waxing?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not too bad.
A couple of clothes pegs.
It's called pianacule. It's an ancient Roman punishment for parricide. Anybody know what parricide is?
Parricide, killing someone in the family?
Killing your parents. It involved being whipped, stitched into a leather sack and thrown into the sea. The Emperor Hadrian adjusted the law by including animals in the sack, along with the victims. You might have a dog or a cockerel, a snake or a monkey. We're not really sure whether that was just a deterrent or they really did look for the animals, but we do know it survived into the 18th century in Germany, and monkeys and snakes really hard to source. So in 1715...
Oh, I thought you meant when you're cooking them, sorry.
Oh, I see, yeah. No, what, you'd have a béarnaise with it, I think, yeah. So they were very difficult to source. So in 1715, there was one man who was sacked with a dog, a cockerel, a cat, and a picture of a snake.
It's the thought that counts.
Yeah,
Drawn by a child.
Yeah. What about the drunkard's cloak?
Is it something metallic that is impaled upon you?
No, wooden. In the 1640s, and I think you're going to find this hard to credit, Newcastle upon Tyne had a problem with drunkenness in the streets.
Oh, shut up.
So the initial punishment was to put the offender in the stocks, but if that didn't work, they would take a barrel and they would cut the bottom off it and they would cut holes like this, one for the head, two for the hands, and they would force the drunk to parade around town.
I think he's more of a medium. He's wearing an extra large there, and it's not hugging in the right places. That's not overly flattering.
It looks as if he's about to tell quite a fun story.
Yeah. All I did was park the chariot.
It's a very unfortunate outfit because drunk people fall over a lot. If he falls over, he's not getting back up very easily.
He could end up miles away. Over a waterfall.
Is anybody a fan of Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So the guy who came up with the technology, Gamgee...
Samwise Gamgee.
Yes.
Frodo's best friend.
So...
Who never let him down, no matter what anyone said. I'll stay with you, Master Frodo. Give me your hand. You know what I do? Give me your hand.
I don't know if I fancy you more or less, Mel.
I'm going to go with less.
Okay. Hello, Legolas. That's sit down, Legolas.
It's definitely less.
Anyway, he is named
after that man.
No, not after him, after his brother. His brother was called J. Sampson Gamgee.
Yeah.
And he is the person who invented that surgical dressing where you get cotton wool between two pieces of absorbent gauze.
Oh, yeah.
And so he was known as Sampson Gamgee, and Sam Gamgee is most likely that Tolkien got the name from him. Which is my connection between The Hobbit and ice skating just for you as a Christmas present.
Brilliant.
I auditioned for The Hobbit.
What? I don't know if I fancy you more or more. You did The Hobbit!
Yeah, well, I didn't get it.
To be what, then?
The Hobbit.
Bilbo, you auditioned to be Bilbo Baggins.
I auditioned to be Bilbo Baggins, and the day before...
I'm going to blow your mind now, but go on, carry on.
They brought down the maximum height. And my agent phoned me, she said, how tall are you? And I said, I'm 5'6.5". And
how tall do you want me to be? That's what you said. Never accept the premise of the question. Find out what they want.
So you didn't go?
No, they said we brought down the maximum height, but I still qualified. I was short enough to be a hobbit.
And?
I went. And I was dog shit.
I also auditioned for something in that.
Did you?
Now, they said you'll be 4 hours a day in makeup in New Zealand. Is that OK? And I went, yep.
How tall are you?
How tall do you want me to be?
I went for a part for Frodo.
Did you?
Yeah, and they went, you're a bit tall, you look more like an elf, get out.
I really wanted an audition.
You're the
think you'd have been professional on set.
I wouldn't have been.
Yeah,
I would have been
so
so
can someone
excited.
remove this crying woman, please?
Here we go. What mistake did Picasso make when he painted this?
He put lots of glue on the frame.
Yeah, they can't get their hands
Can't
up.
get their hands up. Oh, no! Picasso's done the gluey frame thing again.
He left 2 snooker referees holding it.
Does anybody know what the picture is?
It's Marie Therese Walter.
Yes.
She was underage, but no, I don't know.
She was 17.
Yeah.
She was underage for what?
For doing what he was doing with her.
Yeah.
He was 45 when they met. She's Picasso's mistress. But when he painted this, who didn't know that she existed in his life?
Oh, his wife?
Yeah, so the mistake was, even with the picture looking like that, his wife, Olga Koklova, recognised that it was somebody else. So that's Marie Therese Walter on the left there.
He picked her up, didn't he? He's just
Yes.
What did he...
Like, he's like, come on, I reckon I'm Pablo Picasso. I don't know, it's
Yeah.
not a
Was she a horse?
Basically, he wasn't a nice guy. He wasn't
Oh, no,
very-
he's a prick biscuit.
Yes.
That's a horse, prick biscuit.
I bet on that. 2-1, brick biscuits. Of the 7 most important women in his life, 2 killed themselves and 2 went mad. It's not a good track record, frankly.
No.
We've got a picture of La Rêve, which is the dream, which also has Marie Therese.
It's
Look
also
on the-
got his cock on her face.
Yes. If you look at the one on the right, that's his penis on top of her head.
Isn't that part of her head?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it was when he put it there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I see, yes.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. That. So
Do you think, did he say, yeah, that's my penis? Or did he just accidentally...
Basically, it's an erotic thing. It's that she's dreaming about sex as well as enjoying it.
That's terrible nap technique. Like, what can I do?
Get so stiff in the neck.
That's true.
It's so stiff, did you say?
Stiff in the neck.
It looks like she's on a plane, doesn't it? Very small seat, and he's the row behind putting his cock on her.
This is the kind of art criticism you rarely see. Question about proximity. So, Alan, I want to ask you.
She's only just got casters. Can't stop now, can you?
Am I close enough to trigger your reaction bubbles?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Is it uncomfortable at all?
No, I'm just feeling it now.
Yeah. So why is it uncomfortable? Does anybody...
No, don't go. We were so close.
Anybody know why that might be uncomfortable?
Well, proximity.
Yeah, it is. It's the study of proxemics. It's the discipline of studying the space that we keep between ourselves. So, the founder of it is a US cultural anthropologist called Edward Twitchell Hall. You're right. And he...
Are you coming to me?
No, darling, you're OK, because you might get injured. So there are 4 main zones, and you can see it up here. First of all, we have the public space. That is the distance at which you are comfortable.
No, there's zone 6
addressing.
as well.
Oh, yes,
Go
that's
right.
true. So the distance at which you feel comfortable addressing a crowd. Then there is social distance. That's where I would interact with my acquaintances. And then there is personal distance, which is coming up to 4 feet. So that's for friends and family. Now, I'm going to pick you. This is intimate distance, OK? So, I've never met you before, have I?
No, Mum.
Ladies and gentlemen, my son, Theo. So, personal space. I wouldn't actually have done that to a stranger because I'm too shy. It would have been awful.
Oh, just thank God it actually is your son. Everything was wrong with it. Mainly the fact that he said no, Mum. If that wasn't your son,
It'd be a terrible way to find out, wouldn't it? Wow. So, personal space. It depends slightly on your culture. For example, a North American in an Arabic country might come across as unfriendly or uninterested. And there are lots of people who use it as a power tool. So President Johnson He was the person who followed after Kennedy. He used it all the time to dominate. It was called the Johnson treatment. I mean, look at him with that guy. He was 6'3" and very heavily built, and he used to push his face right into personal space. And it doesn't feel comfortable even looking at it, does it? It sets up our fight and flight response if somebody's too close.
I'm definitely that person. I am the one. At a party, everyone's moving around the room as I get closer and closer and closer. My husband, it was 5 years before he'd even put a kiss at the end of an email. I think it's nice to get close.
Was your family very kind of touchy-feely?
Yeah, touchy-feely, shouty, ragey. There is a sort of nationality thing. My very British husband, you know, he's a bit Scottish, a bit Welsh, a bit... What? Kisses on an email? We're not even married. Whereas, with my more kind of exotic blood...
Yeah.
Let's all sit on each other's laps. Let's do it now, Phil.
Yeah, come on, Phil.
He sits...